This is the Black Information Network Daily Podcast, and I'm your host, Ramses Ja. And sometimes the amount of stories that make their way to us means that we simply can't cover everything that comes our way. But from time to time, a story just stays with me, and I feel compelled to share it with you and give you my thoughts. And now, one more thing.
I got one more thing I want to talk to you about right now.
Today I want to talk to you if you have made sense of the world in the way that I have with respect to mass shootings and whether or not the problem is a gun problem or if it's a mental health problem. A little bit of background. I always felt that we have a gun problem in this country, and I still feel that way. But something changed this past weekend that I want to tell you about and get your thoughts, if you would be so inclined as to share them with me. But first, let me tell you why this particular weekend was, and the incidents over the weekend was a little different. So I'll start. So over the weekend, I went out to a outdoor mall shopping plaza sort of thing. I was celebrating a very small milestone with a friend of mine, and we just thought we would commemorate the occasion by doing something that we always wanted to do, which was go to a hamburger place, a certain hamburger place. And it was at this outdoor shopping mall where I live. And while we were there, while we were eating, a TMZ notification popped up on my phone, said, mass shooter or active shooter or something like that in Texas. I don't live in Texas. I don't want to suggest that this was close to me. But because I got the notification while I was sitting in the restaurant watching the people walk back and forth outside, and indeed would have to walk out with them past all the stores and so forth to get back to the car, immediately I felt vulnerable. This was a thing that was happening right now. According to my phone, it just was a few states away. There were people right now who were losing their lives. There's video of it. I could hear the shots in the video, and I'm watching in terror, horror. Oh my God. And I felt very exposed, very vulnerable. I felt that the people around me were very exposed, the community in which I live, all of our communities. And I felt it in a different way. When someone shoots up a parade, I'm not in a parade. I'm not at the parade while it's happening, so it doesn't feel the same way. If someone shoots a Walmart and I'm not at the Walmart or a Walmart, there's a way of insulating yourself from that tragedy that I think that maybe we all do as a means of not waking up completely miserable every day and feeling afraid of stepping outside of our own houses. We have to kind of, okay, that happened over there. It didn't happen here. They need to fix that problem over there. But for some reason, the connection was a little bit stronger this time because indeed I was in a shopping plaza or shopping mall while a shopping mall a couple states away was getting shot up. People were getting massacred. Okay, so there's a background. And I sat with that. And as I do, I went down, the list of boxes that I check every time. Why do we keep letting this happen? There are more important, more powerful people than me. Why aren't they doing anything? Why do we have all these guns? That we live in a different world. We've changed amendments before. That's why there are amendments. It's not the Bill of Rights, it's an amendment. So we can change the amendment or modify it to reflect modern world. Guns are very different. The nature of the amendment itself so that we can protect ourselves from a tyrannical government has changed. Because, and I've said this before, the government has advanced weaponry, and we can be obliterated from the stratosphere with a drone. So our handguns and rifles that we keep in our houses those aren't the tools we're going to use to protect ourselves from the government. And so again, the intention behind the Second Amendment, there's no place for it in a modern scenario. So all we're doing is using these guns to kill each other. I still feel that way. But the next day, I was, on my phone, watching the news, living my life. And then I saw in Texas, in a border town, that a car plowed into a group of migrants outside of a shelter that killed 7 and injured 12. And I started to think, wow, maybe we do have a mental health problem. Because the easiest and quickest way to cause mass harm is with a gun. I think we've seen that time and again. It's not the only way. And if people are hurting, they will sometimes hurt other people. Now, I do want to say that there's an ongoing investigation with this incident where this car plowed into this group of migrants. And it's not known if that was an attack based on hate or prejudice or racism or anything like that. Or if it was an accident. It's remains to be seen. But for a moment, a part of my brain went there and I started thinking about it, because indeed we have seen BLM protesters get run over with cars. I talked about on my radio show, it might have been this past weekend or the weekend before last, a woman basically getting off scot-free for plowing her car into a group of protesters. And she, of course, isn't the only one. This indeed isn't necessarily something that is relegated to gun folks. So I started thinking about just how possible it is for us to have both a gun problem and a mental health problem. So I started doing some digging and I found some facts. This comes from the National Alliance on Mental Illness. You can check it out for yourself at nami.org. But these facts are that 1 in 5 U.S. adults experience mental illness each year, 20% of us. 1 in 20 U.S. adults experience serious mental illness each year. I'm sure each of us knows 20 people. On average, one of those folks is going to have some serious mental illness at some point in the year. 1 in 6 youth in the United States, age 6 to 17, experience a mental health disorder each year. 50% of all lifetime mental illness begins by age 14 and 75% by age 24. So we're seeing how this can be, in some instances, a nearly lifelong companion for folks. And this last statistic that is very heartbreaking states that suicide is the second leading cause of death among people aged 10 to 14. And so I realize that it's a convenient argument for Second Amendment advocates to suggest that we have a mental health problem in this country, so that we don't address what I still believe is the primary issue that is resulting in these mass shootings, these school shootings that we see day after day, let's be honest. But in fact, this problem might have two facets that cannot be ignored. And so I found my way to this point in the conversation. And I'm curious if you feel the same or if you feel different. So, as always, I open the floor to you. You can reach out to me using the red microphone talkback feature on the iHeartRadio app, or you can reach out to me on all social media at Ramses Ja. Let's talk about it. Until we do, peace.
This has been a production of the Black Information Network. Today's show is produced by Chris Thompson. Have some thoughts you'd like to share? Use the red microphone talkback feature on the iHeartRadio app. While you're there, be sure to hit subscribe and download all of our episodes. I am your host, Ramses Ja, on all social media. Join us tomorrow as we share our news with our voice, from our perspective, right here on the Black Information Network Daily Podcast.